so if sex work is just a skill, it's something that people enjoy.
Yeah.
Do there have to be? Is this something that only specialists can? Well, let's say for example, so Jazmen, a lot of people do OnlyFans. They have other jobs. Like you're a lawyer, people have other jobs. So you can have someone who's a masseuse and does OnlyFans, or a therapist and does OnlyFans, right? Okay, so you could be, you're like a sex worker by night, masseuse, therapist during the day. Would it be okay if they offered those sex services as a part of their day job, being a masseuse?
Depends on what the day job is. If it's like a lawyer or something, or if it's like a therapist, probably not, because you're violating like an appropriate relationship to have with somebody. But if it's like your auto mechanic and he also sells you like pictures of his dick, it's probably not as big of a deal.
Let me give you another example. So my wife was a nurse at the hospital, so she worked with neurotelemetry, and people have brain injuries, spine injuries, stuff like that, and also older people and people who would need things like bathing and cleaning. Okay. So they need, to be cleaned, including clean their peritoneum, perineal care. So just like groin, crotch, butt, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And some of them would ask her, and this would also happen to other nurses, hey, while you're down there, could you just play with my wee-wee a little bit, or, masturbate me? Okay. So let's say you have a nurse who is also an OnlyFans, is a sex worker on the side. Should she be allowed to offer that?
My understanding, and I'm not a medical professional, but my understanding is that when you're making decisions related to patient care, if a patient under your care, engaging in friendly or sexual relationships with them can cause an inappropriate crossing of boundaries that compromises your ability to deliver good medical care. So I would say that in the case where somebody's like a therapist or a medical professional that's making decisions relating to your healthcare, it's probably not appropriate.
Because you just related
but
therapy
why?
to friendship.
Lawyers can't even accept
and
Hold on, wait. How did my relation of therapy to friendship break anything that I just said?
Because you're saying that you can't enter this new dynamic of sexual relationship in a healthcare setting because that somehow violates the healthcare setting.
What's
Why?
being violated?
That's Trent's question. Why?
What did I just say was being violated?
What is being violated?
I said it like 3 times. I'll repeat it again. It's compromising your ability to deliver care.
But if the care is included,
let me ask you this question: Is
if the sex work, you wouldn't include sex work and health work together in care unless you're
So.
We could invent a scenario where that's true. What if you're going to a hospital and part of the care is my husband has issues with erectile dysfunction? Maybe part of the health services is them jerking you off to make sure everything's working. In that case, you would combine it. Would you agree, or would you say it's still inappropriate? Wait, I want to answer for that. Would you, if that case, would that be an appropriate combination
No, I don't
of
think you should go to people to jerk you off. No, that's.
Do you think it would be? Do you think ignoring your personal sexual views? Do you think it would be appropriate?
It's not a personal sexual view. It's the view that's actually been held for thousands of years by many millions and billions of people.
So if you're going to a hospital and they're trying to check you for a working sexual function, them seeing if you can get an erection, that would be an inappropriate way for them to examine you?
I think if they are really trying to determine if you can get an erection, there's a way, and you're a married person in a marriage. There's
what
a
if
way
you're not
to
a married person?
determine
What if you're
that.
single?
Why would they need to determine that?
Because believe it or not, there are
would be the
people in
medical
this world that
situation?
even when they're not married, they want to ensure that their sexual function is working.
And sex is
Wait, I really want to answer that. I really want to answer that.
I
You disagree with that? You don't think your
it's
sexual function is
necessary.
relevant if you're not married?
No, I think it's relevant, but I think that I don't think it would be good care to go into a hospital and say...
Okay, hold on, wait. I really want to answer this. So if you have problems with erectile dysfunction, it would be inappropriate for a healthcare provider to assess the ability of you to get an erection while you're at the hospital. That's inappropriate.
I mean, I think it depends. I'm curious what the standard of care is for that right now. I mean, do you know what the standard of care is?
I'm not, but I'm asking you as a hypothetical. But I'm asking if you go to the hospital, you have problems with erectile dysfunction. Doctor, I've got issues. And I say, okay, we're going to give you a medication. We're going to try something. And we'll see if we can get an erection.
I think it would be a strange form of care to say, well, let's try
I didn't ask if it was strange or not. I asked if it was appropriate.
I don't think it would be appropriate.
No, you don't think it would be appropriate.
I think giving a medication...
So that type of healthcare is totally outlawed.
We would agree.
To be clear, giving a medication would be appropriate.
It's fine to use medical treatment.
To stimulate them.
It's fine to use medical treatment to see if your body is working properly. It's fine to do things to acquire semen, for example. You might use, for example, with some patients, use electroejaculation stimulation of the prostate in order to get... Well, for some patients, that's what you have to do, including if they're paralyzed.
Okay, I understand what you just said was a way more hardcore kink than water sports, but okay, go ahead.
No, to see if you can ejaculate, to see if you're able... There is a difference between trying to determine if your body is functioning properly and saying that sex is just a service that can be provided. If we provide people in the hospital, we provide them all kinds of services to make sure they're comfortable, right? Like we give them television. They don't need that to live, right?
Okay.
But it makes them comfortable, correct?
Yeah.
So we give patients stuff in the hospital to make sure that they stay as comfortable. We give them television. We give them different food they can choose. We give them bathing, obviously. And when they're very uncomfortable, we do things to make sure they're comfortable. So if a patient says, sex would make me very comfortable, why wouldn't, if a nurse can clean the guy's testicles and penis and is already handling all of this, why not just you put on the gloves and give him a hand job?
Well, one is because it's illegal.
But
Two, if it were legal, my guess would be the procedure for that would be you would bring in a third party or you contract out to somebody different.
Why do you bring in a third party
I've already
to give the guy?
explained it.
Let me finish. Why do you need to bring in a third party to give the guy a hand job and not a third party to wipe his butt and clean between his peritoneum?
Because when you start engaging in romantic or sexual or
who says it's romantic? It's just getting.
I said or means
intimate.
any of these.
Yeah.
When you engage in romantic or sexual or friendship type things, that these things are all inappropriate because they compromise your ability to objectively offer care. For instance, would it be inappropriate to say, well, can you please just like jerk me off? You're going to clean my ass? Yes, that would be, because if a patient starts to have a sexual relationship with a practitioner, then if that practitioner has to make a tough call on that patient's health, that might be compromised. The same way that let's say the person starts saying like, man, my kids never.
Why does sex do this stuff?
Let me just finish. Hold on, I gotta finish this one thing. Oh my God. Okay. Let's say that the patient comes in, or the nurse comes in, and the patient starts talking to the nurse like, man, my kids aren't calling me, like I don't know what to do. And then the nurse sits around and they start talking blah 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 blah. That would be equally inappropriate. That would be incredibly inappropriate. If they started to form a very close friendship with a patient, that would also be inappropriate, because again, if a tough call has to be made on the patient, at some point you might not be able to make that tough call because now your judgment is compromised. This is why surgeons that have like wives or husbands don't operate on them, because their judgment is compromised.
But what if you can give hand jobs and you're not attached? It's just sex work.
Well, right now, in terms of how human relationships and everything work, it seems to be the case that
you're saying something very important, which is that there is an emotional, psychological component to sex.
As a lawyer, we have rules on how we're able to engage with people. We're not allowed to accept gifts, for instance.
I want to make sure I'm understanding Destiny correctly and what he just said.
Hold on, let Lila go, then we'll have you come in. Go ahead.
And I do want to get back to the contraception thing, but you had said that there's an emotional, romantic connection to sex. I don't know if you used the word.
Oftentimes there can be, yes.
Yes. So that sounds like more than work.
It can be.
Yeah. So when you guys talk about sex
hold
work,
on. I'm sorry, real quick. I reject that. What do you mean that sounds like more than work?
When you talk about sex work, like we can sell this commodity of sex, like
it's a service.
Like it's a service. You're saying, well, but more emotions and psychological, romantic feelings get involved. Therefore, it doesn't belong in the professional setting of healthcare. That's what you're saying. So how can you still say it's work and it's a professional?
Do teachers
job?
work?
Yes.
Do they have emotional connections to children and parents?
And they should. That's a healthy thing. Okay, so then
that argument doesn't make any sense. So what's the next one?
Well, are you saying that a nurse should not have an emotional connection at all to her patient?
Generally, they try to minimize it, yes.
They should have empathy. That's actually required for nurses to have empathy.
You're telling me they shouldn't have empathy. They should have compassion. They're two different things, because empathy can compromise your ability to deliver.
Are you saying a nurse can't understand the personal background, desires, hopes, and develop a friendly rapport with a patient?
You can have like a friendly where there isn't one.
No, it's a crucial distinction. Having a friendly rapport with somebody is different than becoming personally, emotionally invested in the outcome. You have to maintain an appropriate level of distance, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a medical professional.
And sex crosses that line because of what sex just intrinsically is.
But many things cross that line. Like I just said, when you're a lawyer, you can't accept certain gifts. You can't get too close to your clients. They can't become like best friends to you. That's going to cause problems for you down the line. We take entire classes on this, on all the ways we're not supposed to get too close with our clients. And it's not all sexually. It's even just in friendship. Yeah. So professionalism, the standard for professionalism, I agree, it's not professional to offer sexual services to somebody in a setting where that's not appropriate. But there are other things that aren't appropriate either. It doesn't mean they're all bad and that you can't use them in a different
way. So I think, the point that you're making, though, is that sex is personal. It involves it can involve romance. It involves feelings. It involves this connectivity that you sometimes can't help but have, and that's our point.
Well, I have a question.
No, that's not your point.
Yeah. That is a very important part of our point.
No, that's every single human's point. We all understand that. Everyone here agrees that a therapist.
You understand that, but you also think it's acceptable to have these sexual relationships with potentially thousands of people online for sale.
You're not understanding. The whole point of your argument has to do with dual relationships. And you're trying to apply this to singular relationships. We all agree here that a therapist having sex with a patient would be bad, right?
Why?
Because it impacts
Don't-
their
what do you
What
mean?
ability-
if, let's say the therapist is a
Well, a
sex
therapist
therapist.
should be.
A
should
sex
be-
therapist is obviously not the type of therapist.
But
I'm talking
why
about.
can't I
No,
get
but that's the
gifts
thing.
from
Is
my
sex
clients?
therapists.
Wait, hold on.
It's illegal for sex therapists to have sex with their own clients. They can talk to them
I'm
about
not even.
sex.
Hold on. I'm not even sure that's true. Hold on. Okay. Okay. I can't ask a question because I'm not going to get any engagement.
You
So
may
I'll just
ask.
make my
That's
point.
not true,
I'm not.
Jazmen.
It is a
We're-
very simple question. Is can a therapist have sex with a patient? And then you're like, well, what about sex therapy?
No.
Well,
They
I
can-
think
they
Jazmen
cannot.
considers what she does
Correct.
a form
But
of
I'm
And they
saying
can't because it
therapy.
compromises your ability to give good
But
therapy.
what I am saying is that if sex is just a service that is provided,
I-
and it
hold on,
has
wait,
this.
we don't have to. I understand the next stage of argument. I'm trying to show why that's ridiculous. I understand it. You're going to say,
Fine,
well,
then
sex-
I will take it out of the dual role to the single role, and I'll give you
Wait,
a
wait.
hypothetical.
Let's just explore this for 2 seconds, then we can go to whatever you're going to jump to, okay? A therapist cannot have sex with a patient because it compromises their ability to deliver good therapy.
Well, it
we
depends
agree
on
that.
their relationship, right?
And
Stop.
no, that's
No.
not the only reason.
Oh my God.
Go ahead.
It does.
It would also be equally inappropriate for a therapist to form a close friendship with and to go out and like have
Yeah,
drinks or
that was
meals
my
with a
point.
patient.
It's not the
but it
reason-
doesn't mean that drinks and dinner are super
bad.
inappropriate.
It's not
and
just that,
ultra
because when a
special.
therapist has sex with a patient, Destiny, it's grape. Because the therapist has a power imbalance over the patient and can manipulate their emotions, and there are consent issues involved.
Sure, that's true as well. That's not what we're
That's the
focused
more
on here.
important reason.
Okay, we can pick a nurse and a
But
patient
I
as
think
well.
I think it must be said that a lot of people involved in creating pornography and prostitution consider what they do a form of therapy for the client.
That's
But
not at all what
there
we're
is a
talking about.
reason that the sexual revolution has coincided with us being more cognizant of things like consent.